Ever felt like you're, I don't know, speaking a completely different language than your little one? Especially when it's something as simple as getting dressed or sharing a toy or just, well, listening. If you've ever wished for some kind of secret decoder ring for kid communication, you are definitely not alone.
Welcome to the Gist Gab podcast. Today we're looking into something that honestly feels like it could transform those daily struggles into moments of, well, connection. We're exploring How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen by Joanna Faber and Julie King. And the thing is, this isn't just about getting kids to comply, It's about fostering genuine cooperation and, a deeper bond, which, let's be honest, is pretty much the ultimate win for any parent.
Exactly. And this particular exploration, it's packed with really practical tools and some surprising insights, too, all specifically tailored for communicating with kids aged, 2 to 7. It's about empowering them, yes, but also about helping us guide them towards becoming, confident, self-reliant people.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're often told to control behavior, right? But this book makes a pretty bold claim right from the start. It says true cooperation begins not with discipline, but with understanding emotions. Chapter 1 really hammers this home. Emotional well-being is crucial. The book puts it so simply. When kids don't feel right, they can't behave right. It seems so fundamental, yet it's often missed, isn't it?
It's incredibly intuitive when you actually stop and think about it.
Yeah.
But what's often counterintuitive for us as parents is how we react when our kids show those big negative emotions. Our impulse is often to immediately fix it or dismiss it, maybe even scold them. But the authors explain that these reactions, they can further alienate children. The foundational principle they push is clear: empathy over correction. We have to sort of acknowledge what they're feeling before we expect them to move on.
So how do we actually do that? When a toddler's having a full meltdown over a dropped cracker or raging because they can't have that cookie right now, what's maybe one of the most, surprising yet effective tools the book offers for those really raw emotional moments?
Well, it gives us a whole toolbox, which is great. But one that often catches people off guard is using imagination. It's summed up as, give in fantasy what you cannot give in reality. So instead of just saying no to that, imaginary car made of cookies, you lean into it. Ooh, if we could have a car made of cookies, what kind would it be? Chocolate chip wheels, maybe sprinkles for headlights.
Wow.
What's kind of profound about this is how it taps into a child's way of thinking. It validates their desire, however unrealistic it seems to us. They feel heard, and it subtly prepares them for the reality that, okay, they can't actually have it right now, all without that power struggle. It's pretty genius.
That's fascinating. So you're not denying the wish itself, just shifting the reality of it. Here you want that, and in this magical pretend space, it exists.
Yeah.
Okay, what about other ways? Because sometimes you just need simple tools for those everyday bumps.
Oh, absolutely. Beyond imagination, they suggest simple words, just acknowledging what you see. I see you're really angry right now. That can happen when you don't get what you want. Or, I can see you're really upset you can't have a cookie now. It's hard to wait, isn't it? Simple validation. They also suggest writing things down, maybe a wish list for all those things they desperately want but can't have right now. It helps manage expectations, kind of. Art is another one, expression through drawing. And sometimes, honestly, the most powerful tool is just silent attention, just being there. That comforting presence can say so much, it's okay to feel sad or disappointed without needing any words at all.
Mm-hmm. It really sounds like the book is saying that validating these feelings, it builds emotional resilience in kids, and authors assert good feelings can't come in until the bad feelings are let out. That's powerful stuff. But it also brings up that tension many parents feel, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance all this empathy with, the need for clear boundaries? Does the book offer guidance there, or is it purely about the feelings?
That's a really insightful question. And yeah, it's where the book's approach can definitely challenge some more conventional discipline ideas. The authors lean heavily into empathy as the foundation, for sure. They argue that once feelings are acknowledged, kids are actually more likely to be open to boundaries or solutions later. It's not about being permissive, it's about starting with connection first. And, once that emotional static is cleared, it paves the way for cooperation, which is the focus of the next part.
Right. Connection first. So if connection is step one, how do we then get them to actually act cooperatively? The book then tackles that age-old problem, getting kids to do things without it turning into a huge battle. Their take on resistance really hit home for me. Even if I want to do something, as soon as somebody tells me to do it, I don't want to do it anymore. I've definitely seen that play out. Direct orders just seem to provoke direct opposition sometimes.
Oh, it's so true. Kids and adults, too, really naturally resist being ordered around. The book offers this really imaginative set of tools to encourage cooperation instead of just demanding it, which is like a total game changer. For example, you can be playful, make tasks fun, turn them into challenges, or make inanimate objects talk. Oh no, Mr. Toothbrush is so lonely, he wants to clean some teeth. You can also offer a choice. This gives kids a sense of control, which they crave. Do you want to put on your blue shirt or your red shirt? Simple but effective.
I love the idea of making objects talk. It's so simple, but it totally shifts the dynamic away from a command, doesn't it? What other tools does it suggest for getting cooperation without sounding like a broken record?
Another great one is to put the child in charge when it makes sense. Delegate responsibilities, like maybe they choose an outfit based on the weather chart you made together. You can also just give information. This encourages self-regulation rather than just forbidding something. So instead of stop banging on the keyboard, maybe try, keyboards are delicate, they need gentle touches. Sometimes all it takes is to say it with a word or a gesture. Just a concise jacket instead of a whole lecture. Or describe what you see. This invites cooperation without scolding. I see a jacket on the floor, instead of pick up your jacket right now. And crucially, they emphasize describing how you feel to share your own emotional context. I feel scared when you run near the street. They strongly advise, use the word I, avoid the word you, because I feel scared is different from you're being bad. It shifts from accusation to just sharing your experience. For stuff that happens all the time, you could even write a note as a reminder. And if you do need to take action without insult. Like putting away a bike if they won't wear a helmet, but doing it respectfully without shaming. It fosters self-management, and a much happier house overall.
That distinction between you and I statements is incredibly powerful, isn't it? It moves away from accusation towards just expressing your own boundaries and feelings. It's subtle, but wow, what a difference. Okay, so beyond just getting cooperation, the book also dives into the nuances of praise and conflict resolution, which is vital. We often think praise is always good, right? But Chapter 4 explains that sometimes that evaluative praise, like you're so smart, can actually backfire. It can lead to self-doubt or feeling like they have to constantly perform.
Yeah, what's really striking here is how the delivery of praise matters so much more than just like the sheer quantity. So instead of that generic, that's a beautiful picture, the author suggests we describe what you see. Like, I see green lines that are zooming up and down the page. Or you can describe the effect on others. Wow, you carried those grocery bags all the way to the kitchen. That really helped me out. That's meaningful. It's also powerful to describe effort. You kept working on that puzzle until you figured it out. You didn't give up. Or describe progress. Look at this letter B. It's a real beauty contest winner, so much smoother than last time. And they really stress avoiding comparisons, between siblings or friends. Focus just on that child's accomplishment. It does raise an interesting point, though. While descriptive praise is clearly valuable, different kids probably respond uniquely to encouragement, right? Do you think a one-size-fits-all approach to praise is really the best way?
That's a great question. And I imagine it's something every parent kind of figures out for their own kid through trial and error. It reminds us these are tools, not rigid rules.
Yeah.
But okay, beyond praise, what about when things go wrong? The book has a surprisingly different take on conflict resolution, especially when it comes to punishment. We're often taught, consequences are key, but this book offers a very different perspective on those traditional methods.
Yeah, this is a critical departure from a lot of conventional parenting advice. The book argues pretty strongly that punishment is often harmful and ineffective. It says punishment fails to address the root of the behavior. It actually fosters selfish thinking, like how to avoid getting caught instead of genuine problem solving. And it can lead to emotional distress and fear. Often it just backfires, creating more defiance. And powerfully, kids learn aggression from punitive measures because, as they say, children will do as you do, not as you say. So instead, they advocate for tools that empower kids to actually correct their own mistakes.
Okay, so if punishment is off the table, what are the alternatives? Because sometimes, let's be real, you just need kids to stop doing something or to make amends for something they did.
Exactly. The authors suggest, first, express your own feelings about it, but without commanding or attacking. I feel frustrated when you leave your blocks all over the floor because someone could trip. Then, they say, the quickest way to change behavior and attitude is to show your child how to make amends. Get them involved in fixing the mistake. If a picture got torn, what can we do to make this picture better? Put them in the helper role. You can still offer a choice, even in conflict. Would you like to put the blocks in the bin now or after your snack? And yes, you can still take action without insult, like putting away that bike if they refuse the helmet, but doing it calmly without shaming. Finally, and this is really key, try problem solving together. A collaborative approach instead of just imposing punishment. What could we do next time so this doesn't happen again? If you connect this to the bigger picture, it really encourages kids to think about solutions and responsibility rather than just, fearing a consequence.
It's a nuanced discussion, definitely. And one that probably requires a lot of parental self-reflection to shift those ingrained habits we might have. It does raise an important question for many parents, though. Some might worry that without those firm consequences, children might not fully grasp the seriousness of their actions. What's the book's response to that concern? How do we balance accountability with this more empathetic approach?
Well, the book would likely argue that the understanding comes from the child's involvement in the solution and the validation of their feelings, rather than, say, the pain or fear of punishment. It asks us to consider whether a child truly understands the impact if they're just acting out of fear of getting in trouble. But I agree, it's a point worth pondering. Finding that balance is often what parents are striving for in the messy reality of daily life.
Absolutely. And speaking of messy reality, what about those situations where kids are, as the book puts it, differently wired? Kids with unique challenges like autism or sensory processing disorders. How do these strategies adapt for them?
That's an incredibly important section, Chapter 5, I think. It really stresses the need for specialized approaches because these kids often have heightened sensitivities. They can struggle profoundly with transitions, routines, social cues. The general tools still apply, but they need to be tailored, sometimes amplified. For example, you need to be even more intentional about joining them in their world, engaging with their specific interests, like actually sitting next to a child, building Lego, showing genuine interest in their focus, not trying to redirect constantly. You need to really work to imagine their experience, to reflect their emotions accurately for validation. It's also crucial to verbalize their feelings sometimes, helping them articulate what they might not be able to express themselves. Sometimes it's more about managing the environment, not the child reducing overwhelming sounds, lights, textures. You might need to use alternatives to speech more often, like visual aids, written notes, even songs, and focus heavily on what they can do, encouraging positive actions instead of just saying don't. And of course, be playful, maybe even more so. Using humor can be a bridge for cooperation. Oh, and basic needs, food and sleep, are absolutely paramount before any communication strategy can work.
What's really profound about that guidance is how it reminds us that all behavior is communication, isn't it? Even with these tailored strategies, the book encourages us to reflect, right? Are these tools universally applicable, or do they need constant adaptation? Different children, even within certain diagnoses, respond uniquely. So it's not a magic formula, but more like a responsive toolbox to adapt and personalize.
Precisely. And speaking of adaptation, the book also dives into a whole host of other common everyday parenting headaches.
Absolutely. Like take lying from chapter 10. The book really challenges us to see it not as some awful moral failing, but more like a natural stage of development for young kids. They even say to punish them for it is counterproductive. It would be like punishing a baby for pooping in her diaper, which is quite a statement. Instead, they push for a non-shaming approach. State the obvious, share your feelings, acknowledge their feelings or wish, problem solve together, maybe adjust expectations, and help them make amends if needed. It's about guiding them toward truthfulness, not labeling them as liars. I remember one morning where I really wished I had the advice on morning madness from chapter 7. Using playfulness and gentle transitions to try and transform those chaotic mornings. That's a perfect example of where these tools can be applied.
And this emphasis on the parent side continues too. There's a whole section on parents have feelings too in chapter 11, which is so important. It's crucial to acknowledge that our own anger, our frustration, it's normal. The key quote there is, all feelings can be accepted. Some actions must be limited. Our actions, that is. It highlights the importance of expressing our own feelings directly, maybe taking time to cool off when needed, and then reconnecting. As the book wisely says, it takes time to calm down when you're all riled up. You can't just flip a switch. For us or for them.
That's so true. It's a reminder that these strategies aren't just for the kids, they're for us parents too, managing ourselves first. And beyond these big ones, the book really does provide practical strategies for so many other common scenarios, like navigating food fights, picky eating as a phase, encouraging autonomy, dealing with sibling rivalry by acknowledging the older siblings' feelings of resentment sometimes, fostering connection instead of just taking sides, or even making cleanup playful somehow.
Right. And for those times when you're trying these things and feeling like nothing is working, the book has a dedicated section for troubleshooting when the tools don't work. They basically tell us When in doubt, go back to acknowledging feelings. That's always step one. Sometimes that empathy might actually make the tears flow more initially, but that allows for deeper emotional processing, leading to calm eventually. It also reiterates the crucial importance of checking basic needs: hunger, sleep. Are they just hangry or overtired? Because often that's the real underlying problem, not defiance. It's a vital reminder.
It's really clear that this book, How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, offers a truly profound shift in how we can approach our relationships with the young children in our lives. The core insights, they seem to revolve around the immense power of understanding emotions first, then using playful engagement and respectful communication to foster cooperation and build stronger, more resilient relationships.
Yeah, the book brilliantly shows us how truly understanding our children can transform their behavior. But maybe as you reflect on these tools, consider this thought. If we truly lean into validating emotions and fostering collaboration, not just demanding obedience, how might that fundamentally shift our own behavior, and what new possibilities might that open up in our relationships, not just with our kids, but maybe with everyone around us?